Imagine this scene. You return home, utterly exhausted, feeling broken both inside and out. You lack the strength even to remove your shoes. You lie down, close your eyes, and amidst your profound fatigue, a whisper emerges from your soul. You should pray, yet immediately another voice, colder and more serious, urges you to remain still. Do you believe God will hear you in such a state? In that moment, a question arises that has troubled many believers. Is it a sin to pray while lying down? Am I inadvertently offending God? From childhood, we are taught that prayer involves kneeling, clasping hands, and demonstrating reverence. But what if you are unwell? If pain renders you immobile? And if your soul yearns to speak, yet your body does not respond, what will you do? This realization can either bring you peace or confront you with an uncomfortable truth. Praying while lying down holds its own significance. God considers this. Today, I will share the insights of Francisco, a man who has led the church with kindness and openness, drawing from his pastoral experience on this deeply human and profoundly spiritual matter. Stay tuned, for this is revelation can profoundly transform your approach to prayer and your relationship with God. If you have ever felt that your prayers are inadequate due to fatigue preventing you from kneeling, please comment, "Teach me to pray with the heart." This simple gesture will open your spirit to receive this unique revelation. Francisco, in his journey alongside the most vulnerable, imparted teachings that extend far beyond common understanding, addressing the moments when we too feel too weak, exhausted, or unwell to pray as we ought. Dear friends, before we proceed with this revelation that will alter your perspective on prayer, I wish to share something special with you. If these themes resonate with you and you seek to explore deeper spiritual teachings that fortify the soul, we have prepared a unique document, an ebook titled The Power of the Rosary with Francisco, Miracles, Protection, and Grace of God. This spiritual treasure will assist you in learning to pray the rosary with greater depth, devotion, and depth, uncover miracles and testimonies from those who have experienced its power. Familiarize yourself with the most influential teachings and sayings regarding prayer. Access a 30-day guide to prayer, featuring daily intentions designed to fortify your faith, along with special prayers for protection, healing, and deliverance. The Rosary has served as a powerful tool for many holy individuals, and it can be yours as well. Seize this opportunity to enhance your spiritual life with a resource that has benefited thousands. To download, simply click on the link pinned in the comments, which contains the first significant revelation on the topic. Prayer belongs to the heart, not the body. When the heart is weary, a mere elevation of the soul to God constitutes a profound prayer. God is not offended. Rather, our frailty draws us nearer as he observes us praying with the little we possess. At times, the only offering we can provide is a sigh, a tear, or an intention expressed in thought while we lie down, exhausted. Can you envision the heart of the Father observes his ailing Son, attempting to communicate with him despite his frailty? He is not profoundly affected by that effort, which is born of love. He does not draw nearer to listen intently to that faint whisper. This is akin to how God perceives your prayer when you're too weary to kneel. The notion that one must assume a specific physical posture for prayer to be valid exemplifies the formalism that Francis encourages us to scrutinize with missionary insight. He, who possesses an intimate understanding of the mysteries of prayer, reminds us that God gazes upon the heart rather than mere appearances. Few are aware that numerous men and women of faith have endured countless nights grappling with physical suffering. Their bodies may fail them, fever may consume them, and at times the pain may be so excruciating that they cannot lower themselves to their knees. In such moments, they do not cease to pray. Certainly not. Their prayers may transform and adapt, but they never falter. In the nights of unbearable pain, lying on their modest beds, they uncovered something remarkable about prayer. It is often in our moments of greatest vulnerability that the channel of communication with God becomes clearer, more direct, and more intimate. Prayer embodies the strength of humanity and the weakness of the divine. What does this imply? When we approach God in our fragility, devoid of pretense or formality, presenting only the raw truth of our needs, something profound occurs. God condescends for love of us, bending even further to listen. Envision the act of prayer as a conversation with a cherished loved one. In such exchanges, the manner in which we are positioned, whether sitting, standing, or lying down, holds little significance. What truly matters is the presence, the attentiveness, and the sincerity of that interaction. Francisco once offered this beautiful analogy. Prayer is akin to the breath of the soul. Consider this for a moment. We breathe in any position, lying down, sitting, or walking. Our breath does not cease based on our posture. Similarly, prayer, the breath of the soul, is not contingent upon our physical stance, body, but rather the opening of our hearts. Throughout his extensive years as a confessor, Francis encountered countless souls tormented by the belief that their prayers were inadequate because they did not adhere to a prescribed formula or posture. To a woman who chastised herself for praying while lying down due to illness, he gently responded, "My daughter, do you believe that God only recognizes the voice of his child when standing? He who created the body understands its limitations." Another brief sermon. It is acknowledged that prayer experiences various seasons, akin to the cycles of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. There are vibrant and energetic moments of prayer where we can remain on our knees for extended periods, fully immersed in the presence of God. However, there are also arid seasons marked by illness and extreme fatigue. These moments are no less valuable. Much like winter, which may appear barren, but quietly prepares for the abundance of spring. Our prayers over time of weakness is preparing for a spiritual blossoming that may not yet be visible. Have you observed how many saints experience their profound revelations during times of illness or periods of significant physical frailty? Teresa of Avila, John of the Cross, Saint Therese of the Child Jesus, and, of course, Francisco. This is no mere coincidence. There exists a mystery of spiritual fertility in those moments when the body succumbs, leaving only the soul bare before God. Are you not concerned about his teachings? Anxious about the authenticity of your encounter with God? This brings to mind Don Manuel, an elderly gentleman I encountered in a modest home in town. Throughout his life, he had been a man of unwavering faith. He prayed on his knees every night without exception. But at the age of 92, severe arthritis hindered his ability to kneel. On the first night he attempted to pray, he wept in frustration. The second night, he endeavored to force himself to kneel despite the pain, yet he was unable to do so. By the third night, he surrendered. He prayed from his bed, simply stating, "With God as one converses with an old friend." In that moment, Don Manuel spoke to me with radiant eyes, and I sensed the presence of God as never before, as if my entire life had been poised before a door, now flung wide open in my vulnerability. This leads us to one of the more transformative teachings. At times, our physical limitations are not barriers to prayer, but gateways to a deeper, more sincere, and more fundamental form of prayer. Tradition has rightly taught us that physical posture can enhance our inner disposition. Kneeling is a beautiful expression of humility and reverence. Yet we must remember that it is a means to an end, not the end itself. These postures serve as aids to prayer rather than being prayer itself. If you're able to kneel, do so. It is a lovely tribute to God. However, if you cannot, do not worry for a moment. The condition of the heart is far more significant to God than outward appearances. Here, we arrive at a crucial point. Often, when we believe that prayer lacks value because it does not adhere to specific protocols, we are mistaken. Exactly what Jesus criticized in the Pharisees was their excessive concern for external appearances over internal substance. There exists a profound mystery within Christian spirituality that remains incompletely understood. God demonstrates a particular inclination to reach us during our moments of greatest fragility. This is not merely an abstract theological concept, but a reality that permeates the entirety of the Bible and the lives of the saints. Reflect on the instances of fervent prayer documented in Scripture. Jesus, prostrate in Gethsemane, sweating drops of blood, so weakened that an angel was sent to provide comfort. I am not in the temple, nor standing with my hands raised, but rather falling to the ground, confronting the limits of human endurance. Has there ever been a more powerful or authentic prayer? Consider also King David, who frequently prayed from his sickbed during periods of illness or fatigue. In Psalm 6, he lamented, "I am worn out from my groaning. Every night descends, and my bed is soaked with tears. Water my bed with tears." This plea from my bed not only went unheard, but has also become the word of God that has comforted millions over the centuries. Francis himself embodied this truth in a deeply personal manner. One night, during a severe illness that rendered him entirely bedridden, he felt utterly devoid of the strength to form a sentence. In his profound weakness, he could only utter the name of Jesus. He would later confide to a Franciscan brother, "I have never felt Jesus," almost at that moment. It was as if my entire prayer life had been a preparation for that simple sigh. This experience of Francis reveals something profound. Sometimes, the most powerful expressions are the simplest, the most raw, arising from the realization that we have nothing to offer except our need for God. A few years ago, I visited Donna Esperanza, a woman who had suffered a stroke and was entirely immobile in bed. She could not speak and could barely move. "Eyes, your daughter shared something remarkable with me. Because of you, there's an unmistakable difference in this room." Upon entering, we sense a presence, a tranquility that defies explanation. When I inquired further, he spoke with tears in his eyes. "My mother was always a woman of prayer. Now, it seems that her prayers have become more pure, more profound. It is as if her entire being has transformed into a continuous prayer." Is this not precisely what Pope Francis embodies through his testimony? Sometimes, when we lose the ability to pray as we once did, we uncover a new form of prayer that is, in fact, essential. There's a phrase attributed to someone I deeply admire that encapsulates this teaching. God does not tally your prayers. Rather, the love you hold for them is what truly matters. It is irrelevant whether those words are uttered while kneeling in church or whispered from sickbed. What truly counts is love, sincerity, and movement. St. Paul wrote something, revealed in the letter to the Romans. The Spirit assists us in our weakness, as we often lack the ability to articulate our needs effectively. Yet, the Spirit intercedes for us with inexpressible groanings. Is it not remarkable? Even when we struggle to pray appropriately, when we are overwhelmed or disoriented, the Holy Spirit transforms our frailty into a perfect expression. This leads us to the second profound revelation. It is often in our weakness that God makes himself known more vividly. Francisco experienced this truth numerous times throughout his ministry. His most significant moments of mystical union with God did not always align with grand liturgical ceremonies. Rather, they frequently occurred during delicate periods when life demanded that he embrace suffering and surrender completely. Reflect honestly. When do you feel closest to God? Is it during times of ease when your devotion seems flawless, or in those moments of crisis, pain, and exhaustion, when all you can do is cry out, "Save me, God"? For many individuals, moments of profound connection with God often arise precisely when we find ourselves devoid of strength, words, or formulas, left only with our fundamental needs. This is the liberating message that Pope Francis conveys. Do not be concerned if there are days when kneeling to pray is not possible. Do not harbor guilt if illness, fatigue, or age compel you to pray from bed. Do not assume that these circumstances diminish the value of prayer. Prayer, as Francis teaches, is a heartfelt conversation with God, and the heart communicates irrespective of the body's position. In fact, There exists a deep wisdom in recognizing that our weaknesses do not hinder prayer. Rather, they frequently serve as the pathway to a more authentic prayer experience. When we are strong, healthy, and in control, our prayers may occasionally be tinged with subtle pride and self-sufficiency. However, in moments of weakness, when we pray from a place of limitation, there is no space for complaint. That is when we can experience what St. Paul discovered. When I am weak, then I am strong. Having grasped this profound truth about prayer during moments of weakness, how can we implement it to enhance our spiritual lives? The Pope also provided specific guidance that we can integrate into various aspects of our lives. On those days when fatigue overwhelms you and staying awake becomes a challenge, he suggests a straightforward practice. Before retiring for the night, place your heart in the hands of God. There is no need for elaborate words. Simply express to Him, "Lord, here I am. You are aware of all my needs. I surrender to you." This heartfelt prayer, uttered sincerely from your bedside, holds significant value in the eyes of God. During times of illness, when pain seems to drain all your energy, Francis encouraged solidarity with the suffering of Christ on the cross. "Do not waste your pain," he would say. "Offer it as a prayer for someone in need." In this manner, even a groan of pain transforms into powerful intercession. A sick woman simply stated, "Jesus, this is for you." While enduring her pain, she offered a profound prayer as intricate as the most elaborate liturgy. For the elderly who can no longer kneel as they once did, he provided special guidance. Make your entire life a continuous prayer. Every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of existence can be dedicated to God as an act of love. Perhaps this represents the highest form of prayer, where our lives themselves become an ongoing communication with God that transcends words or postures. For busy parents who often succumb to exhaustion while attempting to pray, he extended these words of comfort. The slumber of a weary mother offered to God is a beautiful prayer. God comprehends the language of sacrificial love. One of the more transformative practices he advocates is what he terms present moment prayer. This practice involves simply recognizing God's presence in any situation and addressing Him. Concise expressions of love, gratitude, or inspiration can be conveyed even while lying in a hospital bed, caught in traffic, waiting in line, or attending to daily responsibilities. God is always with you, as Francisco affirms. Engage with Him as a friend who is perpetually by your side. One of his practical teachings emphasizes that the quality of our prayers holds greater significance than their quantity. It is preferable to pray a single Our Father with sincerity than to recite 100 prayers devoid of attention or love. This notion is particularly reassuring for those who, due to illness or fatigue, cannot sustain lengthy prayers. A brief invocation such as, "Lord Jesus, I love you," or "Lord, have mercy," uttered with genuine affection from a hospital bed, can prove more valuable than countless hours of mechanical prayer. He also encourages us to appreciate what he refers to as the prayer of waiting. In those instances when we feel spiritually parched, when it seems our prayers have reached a ceiling, or when we struggle to articulate our thoughts, the simple act of waiting in God's presence becomes profoundly significant. This represents a profound form of prayer. Coming at times, he remarks, the only expectation God has of us is to remain still before Him, akin to a child who simply delights in sitting on his father's lap without uttering a word. Consider how this understanding could transform sleepless nights when pain or anxiety overwhelms you and disrupts your rest. Instead of succumbing to frustration, you can transform those hours into a sanctuary for encountering God. There is no need for intricate formulas or specific postures. Simply acknowledge your presence, open your heart, and allow silence to communicate. This liberating perspective on prayer can fundamentally alter our relationship with God. It liberates us from the anxiety of performing it correctly and invites us into a more natural, authentic, and continuous dialogue with the One who created us. According to Francis, prayer should, on multiple occasions, Be as instinctive as breathing. Just as we breathe in any position and under any circumstances, our prayers can flow freely in all times and situations. Life presents a remarkable gift. You no longer need to wait for the perfect conditions, the ideal location, or the correct posture to communicate with God. He is perpetually accessible, always near, and ever ready to hear the faintest whisper of your heart. We now arrive at the most profound revelation that Francis imparted regarding prayer, particularly for those who feel physically constrained. This truth has remained obscured for many, yet it possesses the potential to entirely transform your spiritual existence. The Pope, through his compassion for the vulnerable and his extensive pastoral experience, recognizes that what we often perceive as limitations in prayer can actually serve as our greatest opportunity to draw closer to God. This message was conveyed to those who approached him with open hearts. When you can do nothing but present your weakness to God, you are offering him the most invaluable gift, your unwavering trust in his mercy. This encapsulates the essence of our findings today. Praying while lying down in moments of exhaustion is not merely acceptable. It can serve as a profound expression of humility and trust. It acknowledges our complete dependence on God and our status as finite beings before the infinite Creator. Let us distill the significance of the truths we have uncovered. First, prayer is fundamentally a movement of the heart toward God, rather than a mere physical posture. Francisco illustrated that God values the sincerity of our intentions over the perfection of our external forms. Second, our moments of greatest weakness can transform into our most authentic prayers. When we have little to offer but our need, we present to God a prayer stripped of all pride and self-assertion. Third, God possesses a mysterious inclination to reach out to us precisely when we feel most vulnerable and in need of his presence. Like a father who rushes to his injured son, the Lord inclines toward us in our vulnerability, allowing us to convert every moment of prayer in our lives, including our physical limitations, into opportunities for communion with God. Dear brothers and sisters, if this message has resonated with you, if it has liberated you from any sin or concerns regarding your prayers, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever pondered why you occasionally awaken with a sense of unease, as if something remains unfinished in your life? Today, I will share 3 powerful words that Pope Francis has identified as essential to utter before sleep, which can profoundly transform your existence. If you seek genuine peace and protection, it is crucial to hear this before it is too late. Francisco, with his deep wisdom and pastoral sensitivity, imparted this teaching that many remain unaware of and that we regrettably overlook each night. These 3 simple words possess the power to transform your rest, your awakening, and the entirety of life. If you find that anxiety is troubling you, overwhelming you, or if you sense a void in your spiritual existence, this message is particularly intended for you. Prior to disclosing these 3 transformational words, I want to emphasize that thousands have experienced significant changes in their lives by adhering to this practice shared by Francis. It is no mere coincidence that you are viewing this video at this moment. If you believe in the potency of these teachings, please express in the comments. I am ready to receive this blessing. What I am about to share is not merely a collection of words, but 3 specific actions that have been passed down through years of spiritual experience and transformative testimony. Each of these words carries a unique purpose, and when you articulate them before sleep, you unlock a special protection in your life. Before we proceed, please click subscribe and activate the notification bell. Why? Because each week, I unveil powerful secrets like this that can affect change. Your life. Do not overlook these promotions that are benefiting thousands. Anxiety, stress, and challenges may seem to intensify at night. However, by understanding and implementing these 3 words, you will immediately notice a difference in your life. Your rest will be more profound. You will awaken with renewed hope, and your days will be illuminated with a fresh perspective. Throughout his life, Pope Francis dedicated himself to guiding individuals toward peace and protection. Among his numerous teachings, one particularly emphasizes the significance of our final words before sleep. This practice I am about to share possesses the potential to transform not only your nights, but every facet of your existence. Many of us lead fast-paced lives, darting from one obligation to another, confronting relentless challenges, work, family, and responsibilities. All of this accumulates in our minds as night descends. He comprehended this struggle daily. He observed his fellow believers, individuals like you and me, burdened by significant worries until the moment they succumb to sleep. Have you ever contemplated why so many individuals awaken fatigued despite having sufficient rest? Or why certain mornings greet you with a heavy heart? He realized that this phenomenon occurs because we fail to conclude the day appropriately. It resembles exiting your home and leaving the door ajar at night. Anything may enter. Francisco imparted that they function as a master key, securing the door against negativity while opening the gateway to protection. These are not mere incantations. Rather, they are tangible actions performed with sincerity that possess the capacity to transform our nocturnal experiences and, consequently, our entire lives. Envision, for a moment, that your mind resembles a room. Throughout the day, this room becomes cluttered with various objects, worries, and fears. Joy and hope. As night descends, we must tidy this room before retiring for the evening. The 3 words that Francisco imparts to us serve as a guide for perfectly organizing this interior space. The moment before sleep is particularly potent, as it is when our subconscious is most receptive. Francisco recognizes that the words and thoughts we entertain prior to slumber continue to influence our spirit throughout the night. This is why he places such emphasis on the significance of this moment. Before disclosing these 3 words to you, Transformers, I want you to grasp something crucial. Their power does not stem from mere mechanical repetition. He underscores that they must originate from the heart, imbued with sincerity and genuine intention. Only in this manner can they fully manifest their potential in your life. The first word that Francisco taught us to utter before sleep is thank you. However, this is not a matter of superficial gratitude. He demonstrated that there is a way especially to express gratitude, which possesses the power to profoundly transform our lives during sleep. When we offer thanks before retiring for the night, we acknowledge the abundance of goodness present in our lives, even amidst challenges. He elucidated that we often become so preoccupied with our problems that we overlook the blessings surrounding us. It is akin to wearing dark glasses that permit only the negative to be seen. Do you know why he emphasized the importance of gratitude before sleep? Because he realized that gratitude has the capacity to elevate our spirit. When we embrace gratitude, our minds are reprogrammed, our hearts are opened, and our lives begin to shift. It is comparable to illuminating a dark room. Suddenly, everything becomes clearer. The practice of gratitude he imparted to us encompasses 3 fundamental aspects. First, we must express thanks for the evident blessings: our family, our home, our employment, and our health. Second, and this is crucial, we must cultivate gratitude for the challenges we encounter. Indeed, you heard correctly. He asserted that trials serve as opportunities in disguise for our growth. The third, and perhaps most significant, aspect is to express gratitude for what lies ahead. He imparted that by giving thanks in advance, we exhibit profound trust in God's plan for our lives. This practice serves as a means of sowing the seeds of blessings for the future. But how can we implement this? It is more straightforward than it appears. Before retiring for the night, dedicate a few moments to reflect on your day. Consider 3 things for which you are thankful. They may be substantial or trivial. It could be a warm embrace from a loved one, a delightful meal, a resolved issue, or simply the gift of life and breath. He emphasized that gratitude should be specific. Rather than expressing thanks for everything, pinpoint the particular circumstance. For instance, thank you for the call from my son this morning. I am grateful for the strength to confront the challenges at work. I appreciate the tranquility I experience in this moment. When we engage in gratitude in this manner, something remarkable begins to unfold. Our minds instinctively start to seek additional reasons for gratitude. It resembles the training of a muscle. The more we exercise it, the more robust it becomes. He observes that individuals who engage in this form of gratitude before sleep begin to recognize more blessings in their lives. Furthermore, gratitude has a direct impact on our rest. When we drift off to sleep with a grateful heart, our slumber is deeper and more restorative. He elucidates that this occurs because gratitude liberates our minds from the unnecessary burdens we frequently bear. One specific practice he suggests is to keep a small notebook by our bedside. Prior to retiring for the night, jot down 3 reasons for gratitude. These do not need to be monumental events. Often, the most significant blessings manifest as small moments. A gentle smile, a ray of sunshine, a steaming cup of coffee. This practice of gratitude serves as a key that unlocks the first door to a tranquil night and a hopeful awakening. It represents the initial step toward transforming not only our evenings, but our entire existence. The second phrase we are encouraged to utter before sleep is sorry. This practice is essential for liberating our hearts from all that hinders true rest. I recognize that often we retire for the night burdened by weights that do not belong to us. Have you observed how the day's missteps, regardless of their insignificance, tend to loom large when we lie down? This phenomenon occurs because consciousness instinctively seeks peace, which can only be attained when we are candid with ourselves and with God regarding our actions. However, caution is warranted. When we discuss acknowledging our mistakes before sleep, it is not an invitation to torment ourselves with guilt or remorse. The Pope imparted that the moment of recognition must be an act of self-love. It serves as a means of healing the wound. While it may be somewhat uncomfortable, it is essential for recovery. The practice of forgiveness that Francis has articulated throughout his pastoral journey encompasses multiple levels. The first involves a candid acknowledgement of our own mistakes. There is no need to compile an exhaustive list of every minor fault. Rather, we should identify those attitudes or words that we recognize as incorrect. This represents a moment of honesty with ourselves. The second level entails seeking forgiveness with a genuine heart. Francis reminds us that this is not a formula, nor is it magic or a recitation of memorized phrases. It is an authentic dialogue with God, acknowledging our limitations and our aspiration for improvement. It resembles a conversation with a loving Father who understands our hearts. However, there is a third level that many overlook, the necessity of forgiving oneself. The Pope noted that while many individuals may seek forgiveness from God and others, they often continue to bear the burden of their sins. Self-criticism and self-judgment are crucial components in completing the cycle of forgiveness. How can we implement this teaching before bedtime? Dedicate a few moments to reflect on your day, not as a harsh critic, but as a thoughtful observer. Consider what you could have improved today. What might you have hurt with your words or actions? At what point did you fail to align with your values? The Pope has emphasized that this practice should be immediately followed by a tangible act of forgiveness. This can be as simple as stating, "I acknowledge my mistakes and I commit to doing better tomorrow." The key is that these words must emanate from the heart and be accompanied by a sincere desire for change. It is also vital to recognize that this practice encompasses not only significant errors. Often, it is the minor behaviors that weigh most heavily on our conscience. A harsh word directed at a loved one, a fleeting moment of impatience at work, or a negative thought that we dwell on longer than necessary. Francisco elucidates that when we engage in this recognition at night, a remarkable transformation occurs. We become increasingly aware of our actions throughout the day. It is as though an inner light is illuminated, guiding us to make more judicious decisions in the present moment. This practice also directly influences the quality of our dreams. When we retire for the night with a light heart, having acknowledged and released our mistakes, our rest becomes deeper and more restorative. The Pope likens this to going to bed after having cleaned and organized our inner space. The third and final phrase that Francisco encourages us to utter before sleep is "I trust." This simple yet profound word embodies one of the most powerful actions we can undertake prior to slumber, the complete surrender of our worries. The Pope has observed that many individuals experience sleepless nights due to their attachment to situations beyond their control. How often have you found yourself lying down, preoccupied with problems that lack immediate solutions, fretting over work, family, health, or the future? He recognized that these concerns act as chains that bind us, hindering our ability to achieve true rest. This is why he advocates for a practice aimed at liberating ourselves from these burdens. The practice of trust he proposes is not merely a declaration of faith, but rather an act of conscious surrender, a moment in which we choose to relinquish everything that overwhelms us. It resembles emptying a heavy backpack that we have been carrying throughout the day. Each concern we bear is a weight we have chosen to release. But how can we engage in this practice? Is this surrender truly effective? The Pope imparted a simple yet profound lesson. Before retiring for the night, identify the 3 primary concerns occupying your mind. Do not attempt to downplay or justify them. Simply acknowledge them as they are. The subsequent step is crucial. For each identified concern, we must make a conscious declaration of surrender. For instance, regarding the situation at my job, I acknowledge my involvement, but I cannot address it while I sleep, so I choose dependent. It is a prudent acknowledgement of when to act and when to rest. Francisco frequently noted that we often resist this surrender, perceiving it as a form of abandonment or irresponsibility. Nothing could be further from the truth. Releasing our worries before sleep is an exercise in emotional and mental intelligence. It signifies an understanding that we require rest to confront challenges with renewed vigor. One particular practice he advocates is visualizing each concern as an object placed into a box. By closing this box, we engage in a conscious act of trusting that solutions will emerge at the appropriate time. This approach does not involve denying our problems, but rather choosing not to allow them to disrupt our peace at night. This practice of trust exerts an immediate influence on our nervous system. When we consciously opt to relinquish our worries, our bodies respond accordingly. The tension in our shoulders diminishes, our breathing deepens, and our minds begin to calm down. Francisco has also noted that individuals who engage in this night shift awaken with enhanced mental clarity and vitality. Furthermore, this practice imparts a significant lesson about control. It reveals that much of our nighttime anxiety stems from the urge to manage circumstances that lie beyond our influence. Through the practice of shifting, we cultivate the ability to differentiate between what we can alter and what we must accept. A crucial element of this practice is its consistency. It is essential that shifting becomes a nightly routine as instinctive as brushing your teeth. Over time, you will observe that worries diminish in their hold over you, not due to their sudden disappearance, but because you acquire a more judicious approach to managing them. This third concept, I believe, completes the cycle of nighttime practice alongside gratitude and forgiveness. Trust establishes a protective barrier that enables you to genuinely rest and awaken rejuvenated, prepared to embrace a new day with optimism and power. These 3 words, thank you, forgiveness, and trust, forge a secure pathway toward tranquil nights and days imbued with hope. They function as 3 keys that, when used in unison, unlock the door to a more fulfilling and safeguarded existence. Consider, for a moment, how your life might transform if each night, prior to sleep, you sincerely practice these 3 words. Envision awakening each day with a heart full of gratitude, liberated from guilt and unburdened by worries. This metamorphosis is attainable for each of us. The beauty of these practices resides in their simplicity. They do not demand extensive time commitments or intricate rituals. All that is required is a few moments before bedtime and a heart eager for growth. It is understood that within simplicity lies the genuine power of spiritual transformation. Let us collectively revisit these 3 steps. First, express gratitude for all that you possess and for what is yet to come. This act of appreciation opens your heart to receive further blessings. Second, recognize mistakes can be rectified, and your conscience can be liberated through forgiveness. This honesty with oneself similarly fosters growth and improvement in every moment of the day. Furthermore, relinquish your worries and trust that everything has its appropriate time and resolution. It has been noted that individuals who embrace these 3 principles experience significant transformations in their lives. Not only do they enhance the quality of their sleep, but they also begin to perceive life from a renewed perspective. Challenges do not vanish magically, but our capacity to confront them increases. I encourage you, this evening before retiring, to practice these 3 principles. Do not await perfection. Do not wait until you feel entirely prepared. Now is the moment to begin. As Francis once stated, each night presents a new opportunity to transform our lives. If this message resonates with you, please click the subscribe button and activate the notification bell. Why is that important? Each week, I share vital information such as this, insights and guidance that can safeguard your life and that of your loved ones, dear friends. Please share it with those you cherish. Many individuals need to hear these words of hope and transformation. Wisdom endures through those who apply these teachings. I encourage you to comment on how these 3 words have influenced your life. Sharing your experiences can motivate others to embark on their own journey of renewal. Remember, the goal is not to recite hollow phrases, but to cultivate a sacred moment each night, a space to connect with yourself and with the divine in trust. These 3 words, thank you, sorry, and I believe, constitute the spirit